Captions are indeed one of the best tools to enhance understanding. They provide clarity, improve accessibility, and allow people to follow along, regardless of language or hearing ability.
Join me as I take on the challenge of creating a stunning summer landscape painting on a mini canvas. Let's see if I can pull it off. Mini canvas painting is such a fun and accessible way to capture the beauty of summer scenery. It's a great way to express your creativity and bring a little sunshine into your life. I know some of you might be thinking, but I'm not good at painting or I don't have the skills or materials to create something beautiful. Let me tell you, those are just misconceptions. Painting is all about having fun and experimenting with different techniques and materials. You don't need to be a skilled artist to create something amazing. In fact, the beauty of painting lies in its imperfections. It's okay if your brushstrokes are uneven or your colors don't quite match. That's what makes each piece unique and special. So, let's get started and see how much fun we can have with mini canvas painting. One of the biggest misconceptions about painting is that you need a lot of expensive materials. But the truth is, you can create something beautiful with just a few basic supplies. For this project, we'll be using acrylic paints, a mini canvas, and a few basic brushes. Let's talk about colors. For a summer landscape, I'm going to choose a palette that's bright and cheerful. I'll be using shades of blue for the sky, green for the trees, and yellow for the sun. You can choose any colors you like, but remember, the key is to have fun and experiment with different shades and combinations. When it comes to techniques, don't worry if you're not sure where to start. We'll be using some simple strokes and layering to create depth and texture. You can also add some fun elements like glitter or texture paste to give your painting some extra interest. Let's get started with our time-lapse painting process. Remember, this is all about having fun and experimenting with different techniques, so don't worry if your painting doesn't turn out exactly as you imagined. As you can see, I'm starting with a simple blue sky and adding some fluffy white clouds. Next, I'll add some trees and foliage using shades of green and brown. I'll also add some highlights with yellow and orange to give the painting some warmth and depth. Now, let's add some texture and interest to the painting by adding some glitter and a few other fun elements. Remember, the key is to have fun and experiment with different materials and techniques. And that's it. Our summer landscape painting is complete. I hope you had as much fun watching this process as I did creating it. The most important thing to remember is that anyone can create beautiful art with practice and the right mindset. Don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. That's where the magic happens. No brushes allowed. In today's video, we're going to throw away the traditional tools and get creative with our fingers. The idea of painting a beautiful summer landscape on a tiny canvas using just our fingers might seem a bit daunting, but trust me, it's a lot of fun. Painting with your fingers is a totally different ballgame compared to using brushes. You have zero control over the precision, and it can be super frustrating, especially if you're a perfectionist. One of the biggest challenges is getting the right amount of paint on your fingers to create the desired effect. Too little, and the color won't show up. Too much, and it'll be a huge blob. The other challenge is creating details in your painting. With brushes, you can get really fine details, but with fingers, it's much harder. You have to rely on your sense of touch and feel to create the shapes and textures you want. And let's be honest, it can be really hard to get the outcome you envisioned in your head. Finally, there's the issue of unpredictability. When you're working with your fingers, you never know exactly what's going to happen. The paint might smudge, or it might create an amazing effect that you didn't plan for. It's all about rolling with the punches and going with the flow. Okay, enough talk, let's get started. The first step is to prime my mini canvas with a coat of gesso. This will give me a nice, smooth surface to work on. Now, I'm using a mixture of yellow ochre and titanium white to create a warm, sunny color for my sky. I'm just going to dip my fingers in the paint and start smudging it around. I want to create soft, puffy clouds, so I'll use a gentle pressing motion. As I add more paint to my fingers, I can start to build up the colors and create more depth in the sky. I'm using a combination of circular motions and gentle strokes to blend everything together. It's amazing how fast the paint starts to come alive on the canvas. Next, I want to add my sun. I'm using a tiny bit of cadmium yellow to create a bright, poppy color. I'm just going to dot the paint onto the canvas in a rough circle. Then, I'll use my fingers to blend it outwards and create a soft, warm glow. The final step is adding some greenery to my landscape. I'm mixing up a combination of sap green and ultramarine blue to create a deep, rich color. I'll use my fingers to scoop up the paint and then drag it across the canvas in smooth, sweeping motions. I want to create loose, organic shapes that evoke the feeling of trees and bushes. As I step back and look at my painting, I'm starting to see the summer landscape come to life. The colors are vibrant, and the textures are really interesting. I love how the paint has smudged and blended together in unexpected ways. It's like nothing I could have planned or predicted. Looking back on this experience, I'm struck by how much fun I had creating this painting with my fingers. Avoid all the common mistakes that most people make. Finger painting on mini canvases has become super popular lately, and I can see why. There's something so therapeutic and fun about getting your hands messy and creating something beautiful on a tiny scale. One of the biggest obstacles to finger painting on mini canvases is that it can be really easy to make mistakes. And trust me, I've made my fair share of them. But don't worry, I'm here to share with you the common mistakes that beginners make when finger painting on mini canvases. The first mistake is not preparing your canvas properly. This is so crucial because if your canvas isn't primed or isn't the right texture, your paint will just flake off or not stick at all. And that's super frustrating. Another mistake is using the wrong type of paint. You want to use acrylic paint that's specifically designed for canvas, not watercolor or tempera paint. Using too much paint is also a common mistake. You want to use thin layers of paint, building up gradually. If you use too much, it will just blob together and look messy. And don't even get me started on not using the right tools. You need to use your fingers, obviously, but you also need to have some cotton swabs or palette knives on hand to help you manipulate the paint. So, let's dive a bit deeper into each of these mistakes and explore how to avoid them. When it comes to preparing your canvas, make sure you prime it with a coat of gesso first. This will give your paint something to stick to and will help it adhere evenly. You should also use a high-quality canvas that's specifically designed for finger painting. Using the wrong type of paint can be a total game changer. Acrylic paint is the way to go because it's flexible and can be used in thin layers. It's also super vibrant, which is perfect for mini canvases. And when it comes to too much paint, just remember that less is more. Start with a small amount and build up gradually. You can always add more, but you can't take it away once it's been applied. Not using the right tools is a total rookie mistake. In addition to your fingers, you want to have some cotton swabs and palette knives on hand. These will help you get into tiny crevices and add texture to your painting. You can also use them to scrape off excess paint or blend colors together. But the most critical mistake that can make or break your mini canvas finger painting experience is not having patience and flexibility. Finger painting is all about experimenting and going with the flow. If you're too rigid or attached to a specific outcome, you're going to get frustrated and give up. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? Remember to prepare your canvas, use the right type of paint, use thin layers, and have the right tools on hand. And most importantly, be patient and flexible. With these tips, you'll be well on your way to creating stunning mini canvas finger paintings. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you learned something new today. If you've had any experience with finger painting on mini canvases, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about painting techniques, be sure to check out my video on abstract art.